now, and as I said earlier, we're right here in Cleveland, Ohio. This is the Browns training facility at Baldwin Wallace University. The weight room right here, right back there, the locker room. And what we're going to do now is go inside and speak with some of the players and with some hopefully interesting interviews. We're going to do that right now. We were standing here with Dave Pazzulli. Dave, I'd like to welcome you back to the show.
Thanks, Jay. Good to be back.
Had you on last year, and we were talking before this interview started. I kind of feel sorry for you. He says he's a professional wrestler trapped in a football player's body. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we kid around. I really love wrestling, though, and all the guys know it. And a lot of times we go down to matches when they're in town, and we just really enjoy it. We have a good time.
I even see, I don't know if they can see back here, but here's Dave's locker, and he's got Rowdy Roddy Piper on his. It's like, I'm going to give you a picture of me, and I want next time I come.
Put it right over that one, Jay.
Okay, great. That's super. Listen, you guys are the Browns 5-2, off to a good start this year. Last week, you played probably against Kansas City, one of your better games that you've ever had, right?
Yeah, I think it was. You know, I played defensive end for really the first time. You know, I've been a nose guard or I've been an interior tackle, but they put me on the outside defensive end, and I had a little bit of success, and just hope to keep coming and make some sacks.
Now, the nose guard position, that's sort of like wrestling, isn't it?
That's just like wrestling, right? That's like being caught in a tag team with you and Uncle Elmer. That's because there's always two guys blocking you, sometimes even three, and you know, there's not a lot you can do but just try to hold your ground.
But out there on that defensive end position, right. You kind of get fire in there, right?
Sure, you got a little bit more room to operate. You know, you don't worry about a guy hitting you from every angle. There's only one guy that can block you, and it's a lot more. It's a lot easier, and it's a lot more. I don't know how to say, less frustrating as it is than playing nose tackle.
Now, how old are you, Dave?
I'm 25.
What do you think listen to these guys back here. Look at the calculators.
I'll tell you.
Well, you know how these the wrestlers are the same way.
Same way.
What I was going to say, okay, you're 25 or 26? What did you say? 25?
Yeah, I'm 25.
Okay, now, the longevity of a football player is what?
They say 4 years. I think a recent survey came out and it's only even less than that. 3.6 years.
Okay, I just want you to stay as healthy as possible because I want to tell everybody right here you're looking at whenever you want to hang up the helmet for good and the cleats, I'll take you and we'll be a future tag team. Guarantee we'll have the belts around.
Hey, I'd love to do it. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, Dave. Listen, thanks for being on the show, and I'm going to see you soon. Okay.
All right, buddy.
All right. I'm standing here with the owner of the Cleveland Browns, Mr. Art Modell. Mr. Modell, I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here with you.
I want to ask, of course, this show is from Memphis, Tennessee, and one of the first things I would like to ask, and one of the things that's on the minds of a lot of the fans in Memphis, of course, Memphis was part of the USFL, and there are a lot of football fans in Memphis. Has that hurt or helped, or what are the chances of a city like Memphis getting in the NFL?
Well, I can't even predict a timetable for expansion. The litigation continues on by the U.S. Football League against the National Football League. Only yesterday they filed a new brief with the new motion with the court to try to break up the NFL. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I will say this. I know Memphis. Memphis is a good football city.
Well, in other words, as long as the litigation and that kind of stuff goes on, it's just kind of on hold, right?
I would say expansion for sure is on hold. Not only three things have to happen first before we can even form an expansion committee, and that is the litigation situation with the U.S. Football League, because there are ownership entities in those markets, and we just can't move in there and preempt them. We'll be back in court. That's number one. Number two, we want to know what kind of television contract we're going to get on the next cycle, so we know what kind of dilution factor we will have and whether or not we can afford dilution. And the third thing, we want a new collective bargaining agreement with our union, which comes up next July and August. So those three things out of the way, I would say that there's no question that the NFL will expand, but I can't tell you when or where.
I see. One other thing, just strictly on a personal level, with talk of collective bargaining and all that kind of things, there's no doubt that professional football has changed over the years from the time you first came in. Is it still as fun as it used to be for you?
I'm asked that question often. At 1 o'clock on Sunday, there's no greater thrill. I think the lining up of 22 men for a kickoff and coming down at full speed, there's an electrifying atmosphere in the stadium, and there's excitement. There's nothing like it. It's the greatest spectator sport in America. The side issues, I could do without.
Yeah, I understand that. And how about the Browns this year? The team looks good.
We're going to get better. We have not really played an outstanding game in all sectors of the team. Last week against Kansas City, they were hurting, so I want to rule that out. But I think we could be starting a mini role. At least I hope so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, good to see you, Al.
Bye-bye. We're standing here with Gerald McNeil. Gerald, I'd like to welcome you to my show. And you have suddenly become the darling of Cleveland, Ohio, and the talk of the NFL with these the kickoff returns and the punt returns. Which one was the 100-yard?
The 100-yard was happened to be the kickoff return, something I hadn't done before. So, that one was quite pleasing to me, only because from the aspect I've never done kickoffs before, so it was kind of interesting.
Now, also the punt return, that was the longest punt return in Browns history, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and that happened to be off a very, very well blocked, very well schemed play. And the guy kind of got a low punt off, and I took it on the run and then made a couple of good moves. And as a matter of fact, I didn't know it was that long after I had ran the play, but it happened to be 84 yards, which is pretty good.
Now that's, I guess, the longest one in 27 years for the Browns, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and boy, that's a long time. And as a matter of fact, some of the fans here have come up to me after the game, and they came up and said, "Golly, I was here 27 years ago when they had the long one." That lets you know how loyal the fans are here, and it's just been a tremendous place to come in and play.
Well, now, speaking of that, there's been a lot of talk. Like you say, the fans really don't change. They've been around a long time, and there was so much talk about this. The win last week over, the week before last, over Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh. It meant so much to the fans because they've been, like, for the 16 years, they had never experienced that. But what was it like for a guy? I mean, this is your first year with the Browns, so really you hadn't been caught up in that kind of situation. What was the feeling for you guys?
It was an awesome situation, especially when we got back from the airport. I had never seen, let's say, 10,000 fans right jammed into the airport where you couldn't even walk to the airport, and that was, fantastic, especially for a new guy like myself and coming to a city, into the NFL, and this is my first pro season in the NFL. That was fantastic, and the fans have been so great. That's one of the high points of the whole season for me so far.
Are you officially the smallest guy in the NFL?
I do believe so. Not height-wise, though. I do know one guy, Lionel James. I played with Lionel doing a couple of bowl games when I came out, so I know for a fact that he's shorter than I am, but I think I am the lightest, though.
Okay. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to wish you all the luck this week against Green Bay. Run another one back.
Thank you. I will. Hopefully.
All right. Thank you. Hi, we're here in the dressing room with Sam Clancy. Sam, I want to welcome you back to the show again, man.
Thank you, Jim.
A little bit different situation than when I talked with you last year. You were just getting with Cleveland. You'd spent already a year with the USFL, a little on the tired side, but this year things are different, aren't they?
Definitely different. I think now things are different. I'm participating more in our defense and I'm producing. I'm trying to make things happen on the play. This is goals that I have in a game, and so far I've been pretty successful.
Right now, leading the team with sacks. That's always a good feeling when you get a sack.
Definitely. It reminds me when I used to play basketball. Every time I slam one home, it just makes you feel good. Every time I get a sack now, I just try to get the crowd going and just try to. You want your team to get fired up so you can do better.
One of the things I noticed last week in the Kansas City game, you got the sack. You were, the fans, of course, were getting fired up, and I could sense that you guys wanted to help get them in the game. But has the rule, like the no celebrating rule or anything like that, does that kind of inhibit you guys? Do you have to think about that? Don't go overboard on the celebration?
To a certain extent, I would say. But what I was doing is, we were close to our end zone, and that's where our wildest fans are, is the bleacher. So, what I did, I just gave them a little twirl in the hand and point to them, and then you clap at them and just try to get them going. And I don't think that Roselle would take any action or something like that. Now, I think the Gastineau used to do all the celebration and say, yeah, that was too much though. But what we do, we just will point to our fans and let them know that we appreciate them cheering for us and they appreciate us, what we do for them, and it's a good feeling.
Okay, you played, of course, with the Memphis Showboats. Now you're in the NFL. What is the difference in caliber of talent here? Or?
Not the caliber of talent. I would say probably experience-wise for us, from coaches to players. You have guys in here that have been playing for several years and improve, their self every year. As far as coaching talent, I think the coaches staff here have a little bit more complicated system than what we had in the two teams I played with the USFL. You know, but talent-wise, I really can't say it different because there's a lot of guys that came from the USFL that's in this league
Doing very well.
You know, Herschel, and then we got one here, Mike Johnson, and
What about Gerald McNeil?
McNeil, that's right. Hey, I can't forget. That's our big play man. So, you know, talent-wise, there's no difference. All I can say is experience-wise.
I heard or I read, I guess, in a press release something that when you sack the quarterback, what is it you tell him?
No, I just pick him up and tell him that I'll be back to get him the next time.
That's it. Okay, Sam, listen, Memphis is proud of you. We want to thank you for being on the show and the continued success. Well, give me a little prediction for the Green Bay game.
Well, we're expecting a good game, but, you know, we want to at least beat them by 2 touchdowns while we can get the chance for our defensive line to go and rush the passer.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Jerry.
Standing beside me is a young man from Memphis, Tennessee, Mark Harper. Mark, welcome to the show.
Oh, how you doing, Jerry?
Just fine. You know, I catch sometimes a lot of flack from the people in Memphis. They're not all that familiar with the Browns. A lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, stuff like that down there. But anyway, there's a lot of Mid-South talent right here on the Browns. Yourself, you went to Northside High School, right?
That's right. I have to agree. We got quite a few guys who's from Memphis who's playing on this team, you know, and I just think that's great for Memphis, you know, political-wise. You know.
Oh, without a doubt. Of course, Curtis Weathers here. We've got Enos Jackson, right, from Memphis State. Now, you went to where'd you go to college?
I went to Alcorn State. It's located down in Mississippi. Probably, if anybody knows, it's down there by Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. And then you were drafted. Were you drafted out of college by who?
No, I was a free agent all the way. Played a couple years in the USFL, and now I'm with Cleveland Browns.
Now, did they change your position where you start out as a cornerback or what? Well, you started out as a wide receiver, didn't you?
No,
cornerback.
Cornerback. I've been a cornerback ever since I've been playing. And started out in the USFL, started a couple years there, and
with what team in the USFL?
Played with Pittsburgh Maulers and Jacksonville Bulls. Right now, with Cleveland Browns, I'm considered as a nickelback, and that's really putting 3 cornerbacks in the game, you know.
Now Cleveland does that quite a bit in the third down situations and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's basically a passing situation where they know they got to throw the ball, and they now get an opportunity to come in and play.
Well, super. We're looking for big things. Okay, standing here now with Eddie Johnson, one of the premier linebackers of the Cleveland Browns. Eddie, welcome to the show. Try to have Eddie on every year when we come over here. We're giving a yearly guest on our show. Right. Listen, you guys are 5-2 now, off to a good start this year for the Browns, right?
Yeah, we've been playing very good the last 3 ball games. I think we came together as a collective unit against after we lost very bad against Cincinnati. We really reached down inside of us and came together.
Mm-hmm. Last week against Kansas City, now I sat in the press box, watched the game. I knew you guys were playing well, but then after the game, all of a sudden you see the statistics, and it was like the best game the defense had played. It allowed the fewest yards since 1973. Did you guys realize during the game that it was going that good?
Occasionally we would look up at the scoreboard and we could see that at halftime they only had 88 total yards. In the second half they only got about 30-some odd yards. So it was in the back of our mind. We were still a little bit upset that they scored 7 points because we wanted a shutout.
Yeah.
And prior to the game, I think the thing that really enticed us to perform even better is the fact that Boyce Green and Mike Pruitt had made the comment that they both could get 200 yards rushing.
Oh, so did they say that?
That was an incentive right there, Jerry.
Well, that was in the back of my mind. I was kind of worried about the fact, because you see that happen a lot. A guy comes back to play against his former teammates and has a heck of a day.
Sure.
But you guys held those guys to a bad day.
Yeah, well, like I said, it was an incentive for us to really play well against them. Obviously, both of those guys were a little bit disgruntled with the organization that they was released or traded or whatever. And they wanted to come in and perform well, so we tried to alleviate that.
Yeah, well, you guys did a good job of that. The dog defense still alive. I mean, it's still cooking back there, isn't it?
To a certain extent, we still do a little bit of barking. It's not as open as it was in the past. Some guys really wanted to get away from it because...
Did you guys catch a little flack about that? I mean, like you said, those guys made some statements. A lot of times when you make statements, it can come back to haunt you if your performance is not completely up to par, can it?
That's true. At times, Frank Minifield made a couple of statements about Steve Lawler and a couple of players, and we really wanted to get away from that type of image. And I think right now, where we're going, we still have certain guys that bark. I personally bark every time I knock a guy down on his butt. I enjoy that. So I think it'll continue to persist as long as we get better.
I want to ask you. I heard some statements from you guys about the Chicago Bears game. You guys really weren't that impressed with the Bears, were you?
No. Even though
They're just not that good.
No, they're still a good football team, Jerry, but they're not as good as people make them out to believe. The thing that has happened in the past is that Chicago Bears have played so well, they've intimidated a lot of people. We were not intimidated, and we feel that when we go out there, if any intimidation is going to be done, it'll be done by the Cleveland Browns. And I was not impressed with the Chicago Bears.
Okay, that's about all the time we have for today's show. That's the last, and our cameraman over there, I think, is going to disagree with you. And this is almost like blasphemy. You're sitting here in Cleveland Stadium, the home, the history of the Cleveland Browns right here, right out on that field, and they're playing, of course, in New Orleans today. Who are you picking?
I'm going to go New Orleans.
That makes me so mad. I'd like to slap the face out of your mouth.
I know it does.
Ralph over there, just shout out. Who you picking? Cleveland Browns. You got it. Exactly right. Dog. There you go.
I've seen those big bones here in Cleveland. You need one of those. Stick it right in your mouth there. You look great.
I want to tell you that the Browns will beat New Orleans today. Yes, they will. Wait and see. That's my pick. And Ralph, listen. If you outpick her, you get to.
I will send you personally a T-shirt and cap of your favorite team, which is the Cleveland Browns.
Well, she's going to have to send it to you. I can assure. And plus, you'll get a chance to go to Atlantic City too, Ralph. So.
Yeah,